Hello, Accelerators Organization. I am Joel Gandara, one of the mentors. Proud to say one of the early, I think, mentors. I've been doing this for a few years with you guys, and I love it. You know, the way it works is before we go live here, the day before, I get a list of your questions. And every time I get that email, I get excited. I always think, oh, this is going to be fun. Let's see what we got. And then when I do have time, I pre-read them all. I pre-read them all today, and they're all good. They're all fantastic questions. I don't know why more of you don't ask questions, but I think sometimes it's because you may not know what to ask and sometimes aren't aware of what's missing in your business or your life until later. But I hope you listen to these even if they're not your questions. That's an amazing way to learn, is to watch someone go through a problem and hopefully come out with a solution. And even though it's not your problem or your solution, your brain just heard that and your brain just saw it get worked out. And now I think, I'm not a scientist, I think that new synaptic connections are made in your brain to figuring out things. So today we may talk about how to get rid of a bad employee, but tomorrow you may have a problem that's how to hire a better employee. But by listening to that bad employee situation, you might say, okay, I'm not going to do that. And a lot of it I don't think is in the forefront. A lot of it's in the background. Subconsciously, you make these connections, you listen to this, and then it helps you for your future. All right, I'm going to pause every once in a while to sip coffee or water, and then we'll keep going here. So again, my name's Joel Gandara. I just sold a company that I built over 20 years, rolled up different competitors during that time where I bought their companies. I've been an entrepreneur since the fourth grade. And I say that all the time, but it's real. I really made enough money in fourth grade to buy my own toys because my parents could not afford them. So I did it myself, and I did it repeatedly, and I continued to do that for many years. I still buy my own things. All right, what else? I'm a coach, and I run a 31-day challenge program, and that's what I keep busy with nowadays. And I get to do this with Sean Thomas and you guys, and I love it. All right, first question is from Robin Turpin. How many times a week do you recommend posting on Instagram if you are developing rapport for a business? I am an artist and I paint by hand. My company is Art by Robin. I want to help build brand awareness on Instagram and just looking for ideas on how often to post. So Robin, I do not know the right answer. I personally, I'm not a big social media person, but a few years ago I made the decision to start posting. And lately, I think I post daily. I think that's what I do on Instagram. And you may think, I mean, in your case, you have content. You have art that you're working on. You have pieces you've made that you can show yourself painting, a picture of the brush touching the canvas, a little video of you actually painting, maybe you on camera explaining what that art piece is about. Or, hey, I just sold an art piece. Very happy. It's going to this house, to this family, whatever. I think you've got plenty of content that you could post every single day. I've heard of some people posting multiple times a day. I just don't have the desire to do that. Maybe that's the right solution. Maybe it's 3.5 times a day is the right solution. Maybe it's 2 reels, 1 post. I don't know. I have no idea. The beauty is that there's no secrets out there. So you could probably, I don't know, throw it in ChatGPT and ask it what it thinks is the most effective for growing a following. I don't know, maybe that. But the other thing is look up the people who you might follow and see if they're getting the type of traction that you want. And that's what I mean about there's no secrets. You could look up other artists that you might follow and see how often they're posting and what kind of engagement they're getting and what kind of posts they're making. Don't copy their content, and you definitely won't because it's your own artwork and that comes from you. But I think that's the best thing. You don't have to reinvent anything or figure anything out, because when we make it that complicated, we don't get started. I think just find, first of all, what you're most comfortable with. Let's say that you think, well, once a week is easy. I could do that. Then perfect. Go once a week. And while you're doing that once a week, start looking what other people are doing. And maybe in a month, you start making that change. And maybe you go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then you go blah, 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 until you get to whatever number you want to get to. But yeah, copy what's out there in the sense of the frequency and if they're getting the results you want to get. Next question is from Kelly Killingsworth. What podcast would you recommend listening to for a service-based business? Kelly and Company is an excavation company in Northern California. I would like to know what podcasts successful entrepreneurs listen to. Lately, I've been listening to podcasts while I drive and while on my downtime instead of music. Thank you for any suggestion you may have. So, Kelly, this is great. The fact that you want to learn and be more in tune with information that's out there, that's great. I don't think there's any bad choices. You could Google this, top podcasts. And then if they're top, that means a lot of people listen to them. They must be pretty good. And then just filter through. If you see that, I don't know, Joe Rogan's on top and you already listened to him, great, next. And then you go to the next one and the next one. I'll be honest with you, my everything you're going to hear from me is always honest, but it's figure of speech. I get bored with podcasts. So I built a very good relationship with a top podcaster in the United States, Jocko Willink, and he's available to me by phone calls. He coaches me through some stuff sometimes. And the first time that we met in person after communicating, and I went and spent the day with him, and I was in his podcast studio where all these amazing Navy SEALs and people have sat and been the guests and all of that. And he says to me, so have you heard a lot of my podcasts? And I said, Jocko, I'm a big fan, love your books. I've never listened to one of your podcasts because I don't have the attention span. I get bored. I listen to clips. I'll listen to 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there. I do that, but I've never sat and listened to an entire podcast. I just don't have the interest in sitting and listening. And even if I'm jogging or running, I get bored of the same thing. Some of these podcasts are 2-3 hours. That's it. I got the idea. Let me move on to something else. I love books though. So I do audiobooks more than anything. But just yesterday, at the time of me recording this, I put an Instagram post about how some of the people who I know who consume the most knowledge stuff, Audible books, YouTube videos, podcasts, and they're just from morning to night consuming information. Some of those people, I know them personally. I'm not impressed with the actions that they take. It's all day consuming. After a certain time, that all becomes noise. And that all might just become an excuse to not take action because I'm busy. I got to listen. I got to take in more stuff. I'll be honest with you, it's not that complicated. There's not that much to learn out there. Knowledge is key, and it's all about knowledge. I don't think it is. I think it's all about action. Go take action, figure out what went wrong, and they go, okay, you debrief, and go, that didn't work. Let me adjust now, and let me learn now about what I was missing. But if you're just taking in data through a fire hose, it's a lot of data. And ultimately, what are you going to do with all that? So I prefer getting less data and doing it that way. Unrelated to what I do for a living and my the coincidence with this, it's not part of my 31-day program, but I'm starting a program tomorrow with a coach who's a friend of mine, and we're each joining each other's programs just to understand and give each other feedback. His is a 60-day program where in that time, I will not touch social media other than just go in and make my posts and reply to a message or something, but I'm not looking at anything. I can't consume an audiobook. I cannot turn on YouTube. And I accepted this challenge and I'm going to go through with it. But talk about tough, and I want to see what comes out on the other side. So feel free to hit me up in a few months and I can tell you what happened excuse me, after I stop what ultimately becomes noise. Just like one of the challenges, no news. Well, I haven't watched news in probably 8 years. That's all noise. That's all just stuff coming into your head, driving you crazy. I'd rather streamline that down to just a few things and execute on that. Thanks, Kelly. Next is Demarius Tukes. He's got multiple questions. Here we go. What relationships and where should I network in order to grow a mold inspection company? What are some different ways that I should go about marketing and getting new business? How do I know how much money to put into advertising and marketing without overspending and getting into debt? I have a list of realtors that I can text who are friends. How should I approach them to let them know about my new business without trying to sell them something? What is the ratio or percentage of revenue to net profit for each business that I should be aiming for? I am a licensed home inspector that just acquired my mold inspection license and certification. I started Southwest Florida Mold Pros, or SWFL Mold Pros, an environmental inspection company, in mid-October. So Demarius, as far as relationships, you know me, I'm all about building relationships with everybody that I can get out there and meet and talk to. And it's not about me jamming down their throat what I do, how they can give me money. Not at all. It's about, well, tell me what your situation is. Let me know how I can help you. Who can I connect you with? When you start a networking conversation that way, you instantly are on a pedestal, I think, in my opinion, because you're saying, hey, so tell me about what you do. Hey, by the way, where are you from? What's your background? Okay, where's your family from? And you have these cool conversations with people, and you say, and so you do this for a living. Okay. Is there any way I can help you? Can I connect you with anybody? Now, you can't say that to 100 realtors because 100 realtors are going to tell you the same thing. Yeah, if you know anybody interested in buying or selling residential property investment, I connect me. You can't connect them to 100 because where are you going to get all those leads for them? So that's a little different. That's a little tough. So so you're just basically, you already know what you want. You want people to hire you for mold inspection and for home inspection. So that's clear. And if they know that about you, that's fine. But now if you focus on them and, hey, how can I help you? Right? Okay. So I think that's the way to properly build relationship. As far as what you're asking, where should I network? Everywhere. To realtors, but it's not just texting some friends. I guess that's one way. But years ago, I worked as a real estate agent, and I'm talking 20 years ago in Florida. Still have my license. I had let it go, then I got it back because I needed to do some deals, and I'd rather be the agent myself and earn my own commission on my own deals. But I got very frustrated when I was an agent because here I told all my friends, hey, I'm an agent. Remember that, okay? Use me next time you want to buy or sell a house. And I remember being extremely frustrated because some friends bought a house and they didn't use me. And I asked them, I go, I'm a realtor. I told you, we talked about it 6, 7, 8 months ago. Why'd you go with some guy? Who's that? Oh, it's a stranger. Why didn't you use me? And they said, we didn't even remember. And I remember being younger and upset. And then it hit me. I go, that was my fault. I didn't stay top of mind. How did I remind them? They've got a billion things going on. And here they go on realtor.com and they click on that realtor whose picture is right there because he's top of mind in the moment. How could I have beat that realtor to that? I could have built some loyalty. How? I could have sent an email. Maybe once a month I send an email telling them that I do this, reminding them, doing a text, making a list of all my friends and making sure I hit them up once every 3 months, right? You're not bothering everybody every day, but hey, remember, if you need anything, if you have any friends, because if you do that enough times, over time, they go, mold, Southwest Florida, a house, Demarius, right? I mean, that's what we need to ingrain into their heads. Why else do you drive by on the highway and you see a sign for Coca-Cola? Do you think we don't know Coca-Cola? We do know Coca-Cola, but they have to keep reminding us. So we need to be that person who's always there so that you become the mold guy. Oh, yeah, you want a home inspection? You want mold? Call Demarius. I think that's the way to do it. Stay top of mind. So develop an email list. It could be very easy to manage. Up until you hit a certain number, you're not going to be able to do this. But in the beginning, just use Gmail. And or if you, better yet, Gmail goes to spam if you email too much. But if you have your own third party, maybe that's better. So in the name of your company.com and set up an email there through Gmail. You can Google all that to figure it out. What else? Eventually, you use something like a Constant Contact or MailChimp or one of these email services just to send out a newsletter. And in that, you put the frightening things that happen if they don't use you, right? And it's not to create fear, but here's a home example of something that happened. They didn't realize in the inspection, they didn't catch it, and they have mold. And now they got this serious health problem. Boom, you got my attention. Their kids are sick. You got my attention. There's probably 1,000 articles about that. Here's what we do at our company, and here's how our 12-step program where we check everything off, whatever it is. This is how we avoid it. And now, okay, there's a problem, and Demarius just gave me the solution. Next time I need him, I'm going to use him. You put every email that you ever get in there, right? Realtors, brokers, whoever, friends, and put them all in there. Now, as far as not spending money, not spending too much money, everything I've just mentioned should be free, except for when you get to having to use like a MailChimp. I don't know, maybe pay $50 a month for that email service. But you do that when you need it. Initially, just use Gmail. It's just a few friends. Build up, get a Google Sheet, and build up your database. Eventually, maybe you get a CRM where you put all your clients in. But in the meantime, it doesn't matter. Just use a Google Sheet. I've run multi-million-dollar businesses off Google Sheets. By the way, nothing to do with this question, but it came up today in one of my groups this morning, and we did a Zoom. And someone said he's trying to start something, some new project. He's like, so I don't know if I develop an LLC for that or an S corp, and I got to get a bank account. And I stopped him right there. He hasn't even done anything. And all he's got to do is get a couple clients. They sell him the money, and he does the service. Don't complicate it. Everything is much simpler. Don't think of software. Don't think of an LLC. Just get going. You're just talking about putting together maybe an email list. Don't overcomplicate it. All right, let's see if I got everything. There's a lot of questions in here, which is great. New business trying to sell them something. All right. Yeah, so hit up your friends who are realtors. Absolutely. When you do a mold inspection, you find it. Man, there's an opportunity. Take a picture of that. Send it to all your realtor friends and say, look what I just found in the bathroom of this house in the wall. We just found all this mold. This could have made these people very sick. There's a perfect example. I mean, some realtors may not like that because you might crash their deal, right? If they're not very good people and they just want to make money and they're not trying to take care of their clients, and be like, oh, don't find mold. You're going to ruin my deal. But yeah, that's not good. All right, last question in there is, what is the ratio percentage of revenue to net profit for each business that I should be aiming for? You aim for 100%. I don't know. Don't get stuck with what the industry is doing. I had an apparel company and we were hitting net profits on good years of nearly 30% net profit. This is unheard of in apparel. It's usually much lower. How did we do that? Just kept raising prices to a high multiple. We got to like 6 times cost. And then and obviously from there's discounts, promotions, loyalty programs that lower those costs. And then we just kept working on lowering our costs. And we got it to about 30% net profit. Our gross profit was somewhere in the 70 something percent. So you're aiming for 100%. You want to make as much money as possible. You're going to sell a lot, but keep as much as possible. How do you do that? Charge as much as the market will allow you to and cut your costs as low as you possibly can without hurting the future. So if you have a budget of advertising and it's working, you can't cut it to zero just to save money today. You got to keep that going if it's working. Thanks, Demarius. All right, next question is from Marco Antonio Santelli. All right, what system do you use or still use to manage your time and stay focused as it relates to getting things done and time management? Santelino is a full travel concierge services company. We focus in Cartagena, Colombia, and provide travelers all over the world with a prime bespoke experience in the country, meeting the highest standards of service. I'm tired of winging it as it relates to getting things done. I want to be more focused and strategic. Can you suggest ideas as to how I can do this based on your experience? Marco Antonio, first of all, Cartagena, where you specialize in, is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to. I love that place. There's a walled city, for those of you who have not been there, that was built by the Spanish some 500 years ago. It's cobblestone. It's big. It takes you a long time to get through it, and it's full of amazing restaurants and shops, and it's just incredible. Beautiful city. Right on the water, with an old fort built by the Spanish, and just amazing. I'd love to go back again soon. All right, time management, and you've come to the right person. I'm not good at many things, but efficiency and time management, those are my sweet spot. So here's the big secret. You ready? Big, massive technological secret. It's going to change your life. Google Calendar. That's it. That's all I do. And I am a master of my time. I am rarely ever late to anything. I know what's next in my day. I know what the rest of my day looks like. Now, I don't memorize my calendar. I simply grab my phone. And I'm going to show you today. I'll just show you a quick glance. So today, I've got, and I erased the first few in the morning, starting at like 6, 7 a.m. I did them, and I just wanted them out of there, and I deleted them. So this is my day today. All of these are things that I have to do. So as I go into the evening, I'm going to be a guest on a podcast, 8:30 to 9:30. That's my last thing for the day, and I'm done. And the rest of it are calls, coaching sessions, these things that I have to do, workouts. I've got a yoga class in there. I've got a jujitsu class in there. It's there. So what can happen that can shift this calendar? It has to be amazingly massive emergency. You know how many of those I've had in my life? Maybe 20. It's just, oh my God, I got to throw everything out the window. A hurricane. I live in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. If a hurricane's coming, I will shift things. I've been hit with 5 hurricanes in 23 years that I've lived here. That's 5 only that have to really readjust my schedule because, okay, I'm not going over there. There's a hurricane coming. That's pretty rare. I was in a meeting with my forum once, and it was a Zoom meeting, and my dad got hospitalized, and I had to tell him, hey guys, I'm out of here. My dad's in the hospital. I just got, during the break, I saw that, and I got to go. That happened once. So let's, first of all, stop classifying everything as an emergency and start putting your whole day in the calendar. And I mean everything. You're going to go to this workout class, block it off. You cannot work. You're not taking a call during that time. You got a meeting with a client, block it off. And do not look at messages while you're on the phone with that client. That's how people, first of all, getting all this noise. And second of all, they're getting distracted and everything's an emergency. I've got some exercises that help with this stuff. And it has to do with meditating, breathing, and doing some other stuff like that. I'm not a trainer of all that, but it's what I do. And it works tremendously well. And I've showed it to some people and it works with them as well. There's probably a lot going on in your head, Marco Antonio, if your life is like that. But I'm glad you said that, let's see, I'm tired of winging it. That's the moment you're going to start changing. You got to be tired of the way you're doing things so that you will now go in a different direction. So great. Glad you're tired. Start making those shifts. Start with a Google Calendar. Get a coach. Have somebody hold you accountable. See everything you're booking. Make sure you're staying on track. Not a coach for the rest of your life, but somebody who's going to get you on track. And now it's going to pay itself off many times over when it gets you to this other level. There's a few people that I've coached that I think are the most amazing human beings. They're on this track. And once we got deep into the calendar and that efficiency for time, they've told me that's worth millions of dollars to them because, of course, now they're getting things done. They're more effective. Everything's going better. Hope that helps. All right. We got another couple of questions from Kelly Killingsworth. Here we go. This is an interesting one, Kelly. I did not expect this question in here, but it's a good one. How crucial is it to level up our wardrobe to match us as we level up? I'm the owner of a licensed excavation company in Northern California. Last year, I really worked on leveling up my mindset, my inner circle, and everything that I do. Currently, my wardrobe is denim jeans and grunt style shirts. Mostly, I feel like I have outgrown my current wardrobe. I'm a 38-year-old male who is looking deep at who I am and who I want to become. How important is it to look the part? As we continue leveling up, I feel I need to have a business casual look, like denim with a sport coat and nice boots versus the laborer construction worker look. Kelly, that's all very fair thing to be aware of. That's coming through. You're 38 years old, man. 38 for me. I started making a lot of changes. Shortly after that age, right around there, I hired a stylist, believe it or not, because I have no style. I wear, similar to you, I wear jeans and a t-shirt. I live in Miami, so I wear shorts and a t-shirt a lot. And I knew I couldn't show up, obviously. If I go to a speaking engagement, I'm speaking in front of 300 people, I'm not showing up in shorts and a t-shirt. But I learned a few things. Like, look, based on your skin color, you're probably not going to want to wear an orange or a neon or right? If I was a black guy with darker skin, then those colors would look good. But I learned all this from a stylist. She held up things to my skin and goes, look, if you wear this orange, you're kind of going to blend into it. That doesn't look good, right? And I learned these things. And so now I don't buy much clothes, but now I look at my closet and I go, yeah, earth tones, softer, they go better with my skin color. I had no clue that even existed, that was a world of things having to do with clothes. So that was helpful. And I went shopping with this personal shopper stylist one time, right? I don't know, maybe I spent $500 or whatever, just on the service. And then she made me buy like $1,000 worth of clothes. But now I know when I go to a speaking engagement and it's appropriate and I wear a suit or I wear a sports coat, like you said, I know that I'm looking okay. It's not, like, for example, I'm not going to wear a beige shirt and a beige pants. They look identical. That kind of looks funny, right? It doesn't work for me. So Yeah, learn a little bit about that. You can, what else? There is a website, Stitch Fix, that you set up all your criteria, what you're looking for. They even advise you a little bit, and they'll send you clothes every month. Maybe it's not the cheapest, but you get to keep what you want and send back what you don't want. They don't charge you for that. There's an option if you don't want to go do that shopping. If that's not your thing, it's definitely not my thing. Um, Having said all of that, there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door, one of my favorite books of all time. I read it when I was 22 years old. It made me feel so good that I was on track to do those things, and it worked out. There's a story in there about a guy who is in Texas, and he owns a lot of cattle. And a cow is expensive, and he had tons of them, and he had this massive farm, and very wealthy guy. And when the authors of the book went to interview them, they said, you know, you don't really look the part. You drive an old beat up pickup truck. You're wearing jeans with holes in them and a t-shirt, and it's nothing impressive. And he said, you know, in Texas we have a saying, and it's some guys are all hat and no cattle. And he said, I may not have a big fancy hat, but I sure got a lot of cattle. And the guy's worth 10, 20, $30 million, right? So you don't have to dress the part. You dress however you want to dress and you're comfortable. But if you're trying to convince a client and you want to impress them and you want to look professional, you want to make sure your nails look nice, you want to make sure your hair looks nice. And by the way, Kelly Kellingsworth, I saw your recent haircut online that you posted. You look great, man. You look very professional. I don't think you have to overdo it. I don't think you have to show up to a job site in a suit because then the guys are going to hate you, right? So it's got to be appropriate. Maybe you keep work boots, but they're not all stuffed up when you go to a meeting, right? Or they're a little stuffed up, but not a lot. So I think you just find that right mix. But I'll tell you what, no matter what, Kelly, you are on the right path. The fact that you're even worrying about this and you're 38 years old, it's a huge age, I think, to start making changes and continuing to grow. We're more self-aware at this time. We're more mature. You're on a good path, man. Just keep that up. Last question in here, and it's also from Kelly Killingsworth. He's getting his money's worth in AO by asking good questions. How do we create a great company culture? Kelco Construction is an excavation company in Northern California. One of our goals in early 2024 is to create an awesome culture for employees and clients. We really want to take the best care of our Kelco family. We don't know how to create the culture. We don't know the steps and what process works to create an awesome culture. We believe that by creating an awesome culture, we will really start to see some amazing growth. Okay, Kelly, you already are creating culture. There is no way you're not creating culture. The problem is it's not planned out and structured that way. But I promise you, you're creating culture. If you show up, and you're not doing this, I'm sure, but if you show up to work and you got an office and you're rude to everybody, you're slamming papers on your desk, and you're short with the employees, that's your culture. You're creating that. If you have a culture of showing up and hanging out by the water cooler a little bit with the employees and tapping them, patting them on the back and saying, hey, what you did in that project was fantastic. I love it, man. Keep it up. And sometimes slide them a little gift card and say, hey, thanks for doing that thing. You're doing amazing. That's a culture. Whatever you do that carries over to your employees, you're building a culture, whether you like it or not, whether it's good or bad. There's good culture, there's bad culture. We have a culture in our relationship with your wife. You've built what you've built based on the way you treat her and the way you carry yourself. So you get to choose that. Think about that. That's how simple developing a culture is. What do you want people to emulate? What do you want them to see about you? They're going to copy you a little bit. Go to a restaurant and the whole staff is rude. And it's horrible. You hate this place. The service is rude. They're condescending. I promise you, the top manager, the owner, they're all jerks. Go to a restaurant where everyone is so nice to you. I promise you, the top manager or the owner is super nice and a good coach to his employees and cares about them and celebrates their victories. And when they do bad, he pulls them aside quietly and doesn't say, hey, you did this wrong. Instead, he or she says, hey, tell me what happened, because let's debrief this situation. Something went wrong, and let's talk about it. What went wrong? What happened? They tell you and you work with them. That's the culture they're setting. That's why they're so good to the customers. You have a lot of power over how to do that. There are coaches out there, not me, but there are coaches out there who can help you work through that kind of a structure for your business and creating a better culture. I'll show you in my organization, coincidentally. Let me grab something. So here are some values in my men's group. It's a card, a metal card that I have for the guys. and we just touch on the 5 things that I want them to be in their life. And it goes on and explains it, but I'll just say the one word: trust, respect, honesty, strength, accountability. You could set things like that in your company that just makes sense for your business. Now, you got to live them. You're the leader. You got to live whatever it is that's on that wall in the office. You make a card like this and you give it to everybody on your team and you ask them, look, this fits in a wallet. Make sure you put it in your wallet. I may pop quiz you one day, and you got to have it in your wallet and ready to go. And give them a reward when they do that, right? When you have a meeting, a huddle, let's say Friday mornings, you have a huddle, whether it's some people in person, some on a job site, but they jump on a Zoom for 10 minutes on Friday morning. You will point out victories. Hey, this project is going very well, and I want to commend so-and-so on our values. He exemplified, trust, because he trusted the guy, and that guy did it, and you praise that. And now all of a sudden, hey, I want praise too. Oh, they keep going back to these core values. There's a great way to build culture. Have those core values, stick to them, make the guys just believe it and own them and make it part of their lives. Another one, and here's the last one, I'll let you guys go. I've been blabbing a lot. Another one is caring about your employees. You want them to care about the business, which is a good culture, and care about each other. Great. On that Friday meeting, if you do that, which I recommend, you let people also say what they're looking forward to for the weekend. And someone says, it's my son's 10th birthday. Okay, great. And I'm going to have a party for them. And always get to the deeper root. Big deal. Everybody has a party for their kid. But then you can ask, well, why is that significant? What are you most excited about that? Maybe something special comes out, like, well, I grew up really poor, or I grew up as an orphan and I didn't have birthday parties. And now me being able to do that for my son is really special. Bam! You want to create culture? Right there. That person, you just learned everything you need to know about him for life. And maybe you didn't know that. That's why I like to ask more questions. That's the only downside of these conversations, is that I don't get to dig in deep about why that's important to that person. But imagine if you do that. You just got that person in your hand in a good way. Now you're going to be able to realize, oh, he's a young guy. He's 30 years old. He's a young father. He didn't have a father figure. And now as his boss, I know that. And I could slowly, gently be that guy. That I could go to him on the job site, put my arm around him and say, you're doing phenomenal, man. I'm so proud of you. You don't think that person is now going to just be your warrior to fight for your company? You could go live in the Bahamas or on a secluded island for the next 5 years. That person's in your camp. They're working hard for you because you care about them. All right, guys. Joel Gandara, great to be here with you all. Have a great day.